There is a question humanity has whispered for thousands of years, a question that echoes quietly in the spaces between our breaths. How long can we really live? Somewhere between science and myth, between the ticking of time and the spark of life, lies the pursuit of longevity, the art of extending existence itself. Not just adding years to life, but adding life to those years. For centuries, kings searched for elixirs, alchemists mixed potions, monks meditated for decades, all chasing one promise: forever. Yet today, that ancient dream has found a new tempo. Not in tombs or sacred gardens, but in laboratories, under microscopes, inside strands of DNA. Because perhaps immortality isn't fantasy anymore. Perhaps it's a formula. Welcome to the new frontier of biology, longevity science. It's not about escaping death entirely. It's about reprogramming life itself. Scientists are decoding the mechanisms of aging, understanding why cells deteriorate, why DNA frays, and how to slow or even reverse those processes. They call it biological rejuvenation, a field that merges genetics, biotechnology, nutrition, and artificial intelligence, all chasing one audacious goal: to extend the healthy human lifespan. Imagine living to 120, 150, even 200 years old, and still feeling as alive, as strong, as curious as you do at 30. Sounds impossible. So did flight, so did electricity, so did every miracle, before it became science. And maybe, just maybe, this is the biggest one yet. Aging feels natural, but biologically, it's chaos. Cells begin to break down. DNA accumulates errors. Proteins misfold like corrupted code. The tiny power plants of our cells, the mitochondria, begin to fail. And the protective caps, at the ends of our chromosomes, called telomeres, shorten with each division, a biological clock counting down to silence. Aging, in its essence, is the slow unraveling of a once perfect design. Yet here's the twist. Aging isn't inevitable. It's programmable. Inside us lie molecular switches that decide whether our cells will live or decay. And if we learn how to flip those switches, we could quite literally control the pace of time itself. Across the world, a handful of scientists are quietly challenging the oldest rule of nature. Among them is Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard, who argues that aging is not a fate, but a disease, one that can be treated and possibly cured. His research focuses on molecules called sirtuins that regulate cellular repair, and a compound known as NAD+, the vital fuel that powers them. In animal studies, boosting NAD+ levels reversed signs of aging. Muscles grew younger, organs repaired themselves faster, even vision sharpened. What if the same could happen in humans? Sinclair once said, "Aging is not a destiny, it's information loss, and we can restore it." If that's true, then perhaps immortality is not magic, but simply a matter of recovering lost data, a software update for life itself. Every human cell holds the entire blueprint of youth, a memory of how it once was. Scientists call this the epigenome, a master code that decides which genes are active and which stay silent. Over time, this program becomes corrupted, like a scratched record. The song of life still plays, but with distortion. But here's where the story turns almost mythical. Researchers discovered they could reboot that code. By activating certain genes known as the Yamanaka Factors, they turned old cells young again. Skin cells from elderly patients began behaving like embryonic ones, vibrant, flexible, alive. For the first time in history, humanity stared into the mirror of time and pressed rewind. But longevity isn't just found in petri dishes. It is also found in the way we live, in the so-called blue zones, rare regions where people routinely live past 100. Scientists found common patterns: natural movement, deep social bonds, mostly plant-based diets, low stress, and a strong sense of purpose. These people weren't trying to defeat death. They were simply living well. And science now confirms that these habits activate longevity genes, reduce inflammation, and protect DNA. Maybe the secret to life was never hidden in a lab, but woven into the quiet rhythm of everyday living. Still, in Silicon Valley and high-tech labs around the globe, the race for eternal life is accelerating. Companies like Altos Labs, Calico, and Rejuvenate Bio are pouring billions into the science of longevity, funded by billionaires who see time as the final frontier. They aren't chasing wealth anymore. They're chasing tomorrow. Imagine resetting your biological age, turning 70 into 40, not just in spirit, but in biology. Imagine storing consciousness, memories, identity, not in fragile cells, but in digital eternity. Some call it arrogance. Others call it evil. But whatever it is, it's already happening. Yet for all its brilliance, the science of forever carries a shadow. If we gain the power to live indefinitely, would endless life make us grateful or numb? Would we still cherish moments if they were infinite tomorrows? Philosophers call it the paradox of immortality. Without death, life loses urgency. Without endings, meaning fades. But the other side of that coin is hope. The belief that more time could bring more compassion, more discovery, more love. Perhaps the true question isn't, can we live forever, Batsuhud? And beneath that question lies another, quieter one, the hidden cost of time. If longevity becomes real, who gets access? Will immortality become a privilege of the few, widening the gap between human and post-human? Every leap in technology, electricity, the internet, AI, reshape the world, but never evenly. And longevity will be no different, because progress, at its heart, isn't measured by what we can do, but by who we become once we can. Meanwhile, the science marches forward. In 2020, researchers reversed blindness in aging mice using gene therapy. In 2022, scientists extended the lifespan of microscopic worms by an astonishing 500%. Even human trials now show potential with drugs like metformin and rapamycin, and molecules that mimic the effects of fasting, one of the most proven methods for extending life across species. And then there's cryonics, the preservation of bodies in liquid nitrogen, waiting for a future where revival might be possible. It sounds like science fiction, but hundreds have already chosen that frozen dream, resting quietly for a tomorrow that may never come, or may come too soon. But beyond the laboratories and theories lies something far more intimate, the emotional heartbeat of this pursuit. Our obsession with longevity isn't just about escaping death. It's about holding on to life. 2 people. 2 moments. 2 meaning. Every wrinkle tells a story. Every heartbeat is a countdown we wish we could pause. We chase time because we cherish it. We fear loss not out of vanity, but out of love. Longevity science is not just a medical project, it's an emotional one. A whisper passed from generation to generation. Let me stay, just a little longer. And while humans search for their fountain of youth, nature has already found hers. In the still waters of a pond lives the hydra, a tiny organism that can regenerate endlessly, potentially immortal. Deep in the ocean, a species of jellyfish can revert from adult back to youth, looping through time like a living paradox. The Greenland shark, moving slowly beneath Arctic ice, can live more than 400 years. Nature, it seems, has already mastered the art we're only beginning to understand. Scientists study these creatures' genes, searching for the biological poetry that lets them resist decay. Because longevity isn't just about living longer, it is about learning from those who already have. But maybe, just maybe, the secret we seek doesn't belong solely to science. For millennia, spiritual traditions have sought the same goal through very different means: meditation, balance, compassion, acceptance. Ancient sages believed longevity wasn't something to be conquered, but something to be earned, the byproduct of harmony between mind, body, and soul. And now, modern research is catching up. Meditation influences telomere activity. Gratitude reduces stress hormones. Acts of kindness literally rewire the brain. Perhaps immortality begins the moment we learn to live deeply present. Because when the mind is at peace, maybe the body simply follows. So pause, breathe, and listen. That heartbeat you feel is a miracle, a rhythm that has survived billions of years of evolution just to exist inside you. Longevity science may someday give us centuries, but meaning will always come from moments, from laughter shared across a dinner table, from the warmth of a sunrise, from love that reminds us that time, even limited, is enough. Maybe the real secret of longevity isn't resisting time, but respecting it. To live in such a way that even if tomorrow never comes, today would still feel infinite. And now, here we stand, on the edge of something extraordinary. The power to slow time, to rewrite fate, to outlast the boundaries of biology itself. But as we step forward, one question remains: what will we do with it? Because living longer is easy. Living better, that's the real art. Perhaps one day, centuries from now, someone will look back at this very moment and whisper, this was the beginning of a species that dared to ask, what if tomorrow never had to end? And in that question, we didn't just find science, we found eternity.